staring at me, and they're just like, they're like kind of not trying to be obvious, but they're just like on their phone like, is she going to Afghanistan? Okay. She just said to me, Afghanistan? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why? They're doing rivals, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm just touring Afghanistan. I'm not in the UN. And he was like, oh. And that's when I started to say, is this a good idea? Because like even the UN is looking at me like, is she nuts? And so that's when I first saw the Taliban for the first time. We met eyes for the first time. Like maybe 6 of them guarding the door, the exit out of the airport. And there was like 3 Taliban sitting and 2 standing. And they just had their AK-47s and just commanders underneath of him. Every time I went to a city, the commander, the top Taliban wanted to meet me. Had his head down. He was like, can you ask her what does she think about Afghanistan with the Taliban rule? It won't happen, but say someone tried to do anything to you, steal anything or touch you or say anything inappropriate, that man would not be alive anymore. I automatically thought my leg was hurt and I thought I was broken. I thought my arm was broken. So I'm just like, please get off of me. Concussion, because my head hit the ground first. And there was blood. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today I just wanted to talk about my recent trip to Afghanistan, and if you missed my trip to Afghanistan, this video in the description if you guys want to check out and you haven't seen my Afghanistan videos. I can without a doubt say that it was the best trip I've ever been on in my entire life, and I've been to 116 countries. I am coming to you today from Macedonia. I'm in Skopje, Macedonia, for a reason that I will say in a different video. I've been here before. The rest of the day I leave tomorrow, but yeah, if you are unfamiliar with me or my channel, I am on a mission to visit every country in the world. There are 195 official countries, and I've been to 116, technically 116 of them. Some really exciting travels coming literally next week, and I'm so excited to show you guys where I'm going next week. I'm so excited. And so anyways, also follow me on Instagram at maryjanebyarm. I post every day, all day, about what I'm actively doing. I was telling my students yesterday I have a travel coaching course. If you want to join, you can. I'll put the link down below. It's called Maryjane's Travel Academy, and I tell you and I teach you everything I know about travel and how to turn your life into a life of travel. It's Travel Academy. You can sign up. I'll put the link down below, and also I'll put the Black Friday sale that's still going on if you want to sign up for 60% off. To get my coaching, I'll be your teacher for 15 weeks. You can sign up on my Black Friday deal, 60% off. I'll put that down below. But anyways, I was telling my students just yesterday, I was talking to them about how I feel like I have so much to say about Afghanistan still. I left Afghanistan over 2 weeks ago, but I'm still processing it. Like it honestly changed my life, and I feel like I could write 5 books about Afghanistan, because that's how much I've witnessed and how much just blew my mind about this country. So today will be like we're friends and I'm sitting talking to you about my trip to Afghanistan. So how did I even get interested in going to Afghanistan, and how did I get there, and what was the process? So like I said before, I'm on a mission to visit every single country in the world. I actually got that question a lot when I was in Afghanistan. Why are you in Afghanistan? I was getting some like really hateful messages, and I was like blocking people. Like when I first became like when I first got on social media, I used to block people so often, and then I feel like I took a break because I'm like, I just don't have the energy. I don't care what people say, like, and I just ignore people who do too much. But when I first said I was in Afghanistan, people were like sending me these messages. Like, some girl put me on her story and she was like, this idiot is in Afghanistan. I was like, I was gonna go regardless, but I was on YouTube and a video popped up and it was like, traveling Afghanistan post Taliban, and I was like, wait, I haven't been to Afghanistan. So I did a quick Google search and I was like, is Afghanistan open? And what popped up is like, do not go to Afghanistan. I don't ever listen to that crap. It says that about so many countries. I completely ignore the internet and like the government websites, the government travel websites, especially from, I'm American. If you go on the American travel website, you type in any country, it's like, do not go. I'm like, oh my gosh. It tells you not to go anywhere. I never listen to that, but it's like, don't go to Afghanistan. They will abduct you. It's so funny. I'll tell that story later. But yeah. So I completely ignored that. I was like, bye. And I just looked literally to see if the country was open. And it was open. And I was like, okay. I was in Dubai, by the way, at the time. And I looked up where the embassies for Afghanistan were, and it said there's only 2 embassies. It says there's an embassy in Dubai where you can get a visa to Afghanistan, and there is an embassy in Pakistan where you can get a visa. They're the only 2 places that you can get a visa to Afghanistan. And I was like, wait, I'm in Dubai. This is perfect. I was like, this is perfect. I'm in Dubai. I can get my visa here, and I can go while I'm here. It's only 2 hours from Dubai. So then I emailed like 4 or 5 different tour companies that did tours to Afghanistan, and they all emailed me back saying, we're so sorry, we're not operating tours at the moment because of the Taliban regime. Like, oh my gosh, like really? So I hit my friend up and she put me in touch with a tour guide that she took to Afghanistan, and I messaged him on WhatsApp, and he's like, yeah, you can come over. He's from Afghanistan, and he's like, I'll be your tour guide. It's an official tour company and everything. And I was like, is next week too soon? I was literally said to him, can I come next Friday? I think it was like Wednesday. I said to him, like I said it to him on a Wednesday, like, can I come next Friday? And he's like, yeah, no problem. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was the simplest trip I've ever booked in my life. As far as being scared, it's crazy because I always say this, but like the whole world will think something about something or have an opinion, and I don't even know what that opinion is. Like, I'm unaware because I don't really care what people think. I'm more of a logical thinker. It's why I skydive and why I'm not afraid of a lot of things, because I'm just like, there's no reason I should logically be afraid of this. It doesn't make any sense. And I was saying this to my students, like, when I'm on my phone, or if I'm looking at the news or anything, every single day the chaos you see going on in the world, it's not Afghanistan, it's where I'm from. If you go on the news and you see the chaos that just happens on a daily basis in the United States, it's insane. And to me, it's still wild that America is not labeled a dangerous country. Nobody's afraid to go to America. Nobody ever says like, I'm so scared. Be careful. If you say I'm going to America, no one's like, be careful. Oh my gosh, oh my god. Like, nobody. That's so funny to me. It's so interesting, but that country is so dangerous. Like not opinion, not take emotion and opinion out of it. Factually, it's dangerous. And there's killings every day. There's your children in schools, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds doing their math, bodies mutilated, children killing children, grown men killing men, women killing women, within our races, with alternating races, you know. It's insane. It's a crazy, wildly dangerous country, factually, not emotionally, not a way someone feels about a place, but like the literal facts of crime. Yeah, it's an insanely dangerous place, as far as daily acts of crime. And to me, it blows my mind that everyone's like, oh, you be safe in Afghanistan. I'm like, you be safe. Do you see the news? You know what I mean? So anyways, I go to Afghanistan and I was expecting all good things. I wasn't scared at all. I didn't feel like there's anything to be afraid of. And I feel like I was so right. I immediately, as soon as I got to the airport, it was so interesting because, okay, let's back up. I get to my gate and I sit down, I check into my flight. All the Afghan people are staring at me and they're just like, they're like kind of not trying to be obvious, but they're just like on their phone like, is she going to Afghanistan? Okay. She going to, okay. And this one lady came up to me, super old lady. She knew no English and she just said to me, Afghanistan? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, why? And I'm like, I'm just touring it. She didn't know what I was saying. She was just like, and she sits back down and then I hear American speaking, like 3 American people in front of me speaking to each other, and they're chatting, and they're like, oh, are you coming in on the something week? And then she's like, yeah, I'm coming in on this week. And then I was listening to the conversation and I found out that they were in the UN, and they looked at me, and another guy was in the UN, me on the shoulder, and he says, are you coming in on the something week, like referring to a group organization. And I'm like, huh? And he's like, UN, yeah? And he's like, you're the new arrivals? You're with the new arrivals, yeah? And I'm like, no, I'm just touring Afghanistan. I'm not in the UN. And he was like, oh. So he goes and sits with maybe 5 other people, and they're all American, and they're all in the UN. They're all chatting about the UN or whatever. So we all get on the plane and I'm just sitting there, and that's when the girls started speaking to me, the women on the plane, and they were just like, oh, you're coming in on the something week, or talking about some kind of, I don't know, new arrivals of the UN. And I'm like, no, I'm not in the UN. And they were like, oh, so you look super young. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm just touring. And they were just like, what? And that's when I started to say, is this a good idea? Because like even the UN is looking at me like, is she nuts? So I was like, why? Like, why are you saying it like that? And she's like, I just never heard of that before, and you look so young, and you're alone. Where are your friends? Where are your boyfriend? Where's your, like, yeah, I'm alone. And they were like, oh, I've never heard of that before. You're so brave. And they're like, we're in the UN. And I was like, so how is Afghanistan? Do you think I will like it? And they said, we honestly can't say. They said, we live in like a very secluded, very American-made little fake town. So we can't tell you because it's not real Afghanistan where we're staying. We're staying in a secluded area made by the US. And I was like, okay. And they were like, but you know, in a country ran by the Taliban, where Taliban believe, you know, women shouldn't be doing anything, you should be safe, yeah? I was like, yeah, totally. So anyways, I get out, the plane lands, the flight goes by super quick. the plane lands, and I was so excited that my first encounter was going through immigration, and the guy just looks at me, looks at my passport, looks at me, and he's like, "Have a nice trip." I was just like, "Oh, okay." So then these guys start yelling at me. They're like, "Come over here, come over here." They're like, "You have to fill out this immigration card." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I fill out the immigration card, and there's like a little picture in the corner, and it's like, you need to put a passport size photo there. And I was like, I started freaking out because I'm like, I don't have a passport. I was like, no one told me I needed a passport size photo. I don't have one. What do I do? What do I do? Like, because it was like that, like you needed it for the immigration card. And they were like, relax, relax. They're like, it's okay. And they're all laughing. And they're like, it's not a problem. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So then you wait in a really long line because every single bag has to go through, same thing in Egypt. When you leave the airport, like out of customs, every bag has to go through another like security conveyor belt. And that just took forever because a lot of people bring a lot of stuff to Afghanistan. So maybe I was waiting the line for like a half hour. And that's when I first saw the Taliban for the first time. We met eyes for the first time when I finally got to the end of the conveyor belt and I'm taking my luggage off. And there's Taliban, like maybe 6 of them, guarding the door, the exit out of the airport. And there was like 3 Taliban sitting and 2 standing, and they just had their AK-47s and just looking at me, like kind of just looking at me, like no real emotion on their face, just looking, watching me. And then the currency exchange people were yelling at me, and they were like, hey, you have to change your money here because there's no ATMs in Afghanistan. So I'm like, okay. I gave them US dollars, and they gave me money in return, which I want to show you because I have a money collection and it's my favorite thing when I travel, like in the world, when I get a new dollar from a new country, because I collect them. I plan to have a dollar from every country soon. 1,000 Afghans. So anyways, it was really like, I was really anticipating meeting my guide because I was just like, I just want to see him with, I just want to know everything's fine. I want to know he's out there with my name on a sign and everything like that. So I leave the airport and there's this big sign that says I Heart Afghanistan, and everything just started to settle in for me when I saw that sign. I was just like, I'm in Afghanistan. Like I'm in Afghanistan. Do you get that? And I felt overwhelmed, and I just was so excited. And so you leave that part of the airport and you come out, and oh my gosh, that's me. He had a sign with my name on it. Where did you go? Hi. Good, how are you?
How's your trip?
Good. You're
Maryjane.
Yes. And there's my guide. He's standing there in a sea of all these men. Of course, I'm the only woman, and everyone's looking at me. And he's got the biggest, Maryjane. He's the sweetest person I ever met in my life. He was my guide. And honestly, he's one of the sweetest people in the world. And I feel like in the 10 days we were together, we went through life, like the ups and downs of life, me being hit by a car and everything. Like, yeah, he's just the sweetest. And he had my name on a sign, and I was like, that's me. Of course he knew who I was, you know, I'm the only female, but the sign was more for me. In the car, and I remember saying to him, like, I have my camera in my hand and I'm just looking out of the window, and he's just like, you can film? And I was just like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I start filming stuff. I don't know why I was hesitant. I just felt like, I don't know, people just say stuff on the internet that's not true. And I asked him like a lot of questions. I was like, am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to do that? And he was like, yes, you're allowed to do all of that. He said, besides, I want you to change. He's like, you're wearing a lot of bright colors, which I was wearing a red scarf and a blue outfit, and he said, you can wear these colors when we leave Kabul, but he's like, Kabul, it has the strongest Taliban influence, and he's like, they don't really prefer women to wear colors, so you should change out of color into black. And he's like, you can put back your color when we leave and go to Bamyan, which is where he was from. He's like, I'm from Bamyan. In Bamyan, everything is okay with your color. So I was like, okay. So I changed into black and we started touring the city, and immediately I started to, as a traveler full-time, things jump out at you so fast when you're constantly changing countries like me. Things jump out at you super quick, and the first thing I noticed is how clean Kabul is. And I was telling him, oh my gosh, it's so clean. And he's like, what do you mean it's clean? I was like, it's clean. Like even when I go to like Istanbul or Paris, or oh god, the worst of it is probably New York City or LA or these cities, they're so dirty. Like people will, especially Cairo, oh my gosh, people will drink something and throw it on the ground. People will eat something and throw their trash on the ground. People will eat food, their napkins, everything, especially in the main cities of countries, they're always dirty. People throw their trash everywhere and leave it there. I didn't see one piece of trash on the street. The sidewalks were clean. People were cleaning up after, like, it was clean. And now he was like, really? You know, he's never left Afghanistan, so he has nothing to compare. A lot of the people don't have anything to compare the city or the country to. So they're like, wow, are some cities dirty? Like, I was like, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, you will see trash everywhere. You will see, you know, even poo in Cairo, in Egypt. You see animal feces everywhere. And I said to him, like, I said to my tour guide, like, I think we just had chicken because I don't eat anything besides chicken. I don't eat beef or lamb or goat or anything, and they eat that a lot. So I told him that beforehand. He said, is there anything you don't eat? I said, I just don't eat red meat. I eat chicken. So we literally had chicken every single day because, like, he had to specifically ask for chicken for me because they eat a lot of sheep and they eat a lot of goat and they eat a lot of beef, and I don't eat any of that. Haven't gotten over how kind everybody in Afghanistan is. Like, I still haven't gotten over it. It's still like, wow, wow, wow. Like, I still can't get over it. How sweet everyone is there. Like, I didn't understand it, and I wasn't expecting it, and especially because I'm a woman. You know, obviously not Muslim, which they were asking if I was Muslim, and I said straight up, no, I'm not Muslim, I'm Christian. And, you know, I'm clearly just wearing this because I have to, and, you know, but none of that changed anybody's mind. And the Taliban and everyone was the niceness. And I was also saying this to my students the other day. You get a feeling when you travel somewhere, especially solo, you immediately get this sense, this energy that you feel in a country. I don't know. I don't want to be like energy, and this is like I'm not that kind of person. I'm really not. But what I mean is, like, you just feel this energy when you are somewhere, especially solo, because you're just kind of taking everything in. But the energy of Afghanistan is so peaceful. Like, it's a kind of peace that is so rare. Okay, I'm the girl who's been in 116 countries. This peaceful energy, just like everyone is just relaxing. There's no turmoil. Like, this peaceful energy was just so, like, overwhelming to me, and I felt it everywhere. Everybody smiled at me. Everybody was chilling, and I was just like, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting a bombing over there, and shooting here and screaming here, and maybe somebody getting beaten up over here, and the Taliban yelling at somebody over here, and this, you know what I mean? Like, I was not expecting this peaceful energy. So it's getting dark. It's 3:44, but the sun goes down really early here. I had to put on a light. It was so peaceful, and he says, like, now we have to go to the Taliban and we have to get your papers. So basically these papers would just grant me permission to everywhere I was going and doing, so that if any other Taliban asked, do you have permission to be here, we could say yes, because there are a lot of places that Afghani women can't go, but I was allowed to go because I'm a foreigner. So basically all these papers were just saying that I'm allowed to be doing what I'm doing. So we go to a Taliban office, and they said, take off your shoes and come into this room. And there was about 7 Taliban in there, and everyone is smiling. Like, one thing that will always stick in my mind is the smiles of these people. Like, they just have the most beautiful, sincere, warm smiles. Like, it's such a mind trip, because, you know, the way the media paints Afghan people is terrible, especially the Taliban, you know, and they make them look like the world's most terrifying people. I was even telling my tour guide that I watched this movie once on Netflix about Afghan people, and it was a cartoon, but it just painted Afghan people to just seem like the most, especially the men, the most cruel, women-hating, ruthless, terrible, savage people.
In this video, we will explain an animated film about an Afghan girl who has to experience tough days under the Taliban regime. To help her family's economy, she must disguise herself as a boy. The breadwinner started at a market in the city of Kabul, Afghanistan. At that time, the market was bustling with people shopping. Parvana is accompanying her Baba selling stuffs. At that time, the city of Kabul was controlled by the Taliban, so women were prohibited from leaving their homes except with their husbands and brothers. The sellers are also not allowed to serve female buyers. Baba is sad to see Parvana, who is about to sell her favorite clothes. But Parvana insisted that she didn't need the shirt. Baba used to work as a teacher, so he taught many school subjects to his children. Baba then asked Parvana to tell the history of Afghanistan. Parvana began to talk about the Silk Road, where the Arabs were once great traders. Afghanistan is blessed with fertile land, so many world leaders are fighting for control of the country. Before the conflict broke out in the country, Baba's life was beautiful in the past. Baba can play with his sister freely. But it all ended when war broke out. Everyone was scared until the Taliban came to power, and the women were forced to stay inside at home. Baba asked Parvana to tell him again about the lesson he had been taught, until suddenly 2 Taliban soldiers came and bullied them both. The men were named Idris and Razak. Idris looked so angry seeing Parvana. A girl should not be out of the house. But Baba explained that the bomb slashed his leg and he needed Parvana to support him. Baba knows Idris. Idris was one of the students he had taught before. But Idris doesn't seem to care. He was very proud because he had joined the Taliban group. When Idris looked at Parvana, he insisted that Parvana should be his wife. Even though at that time, Parvana was still a child. Finally, Razak took Idris away. Parvana and Baba then went home, but they didn't realize that Idris was following them behind. At home, her mother was busy cooking rice sprinkled with raisins. Her mother was a writer. In the house, there were also Soraya, Parvana's older sister, and Zaki, her baby brother. Their lives have been awful since the war broke out. They live in cramped huts and eat a plate of rice together. While eating, suddenly Idris came with several men who immediately took Baba to prison. They make up an excuse that Baba has a forbidden book. Baba was taken away, and no one in the house was able to do anything. Parvana and her family are waiting for Baba, but they realize that Baba will not come back. Baba did not carry his walking stick. The following day, her mother decides to go to the prison to find Baba, and Parvana is asked to come along because Soraya has grown up and is not allowed to leave the house at all. Meanwhile, Soraya began to write a letter requesting a postponement of her father's arrest. With Baba's photo, Parvana and her mother set off. On the way, Parvana and her mother were stopped by a man. The man was angry that the two of them were at home without their husband or brother accompanied. Her mother tried to explain that her husband had been arrested and she begged him to be released. But the man didn't care and instead tore up Baba's photo. The incident made Parvana try hard to reach the fragments of the torn photo. The man then took the stick and hit her mother many times. At that time, several men were watching, but no one helped. At home, mother lay weak with all over her body full of bruises. Parvana begins to reassemble the photo of her father until Soraya asks.
And it's just crazy because when you're there, they're honestly some of the sweetest people, if not the sweetest, kindest people I've ever met in my life. The sincerity in their eyes and in their energy and in their whole vibe is crazy. Like, I feel like I was in a room full of, dare I say, nicer than family members, like kinder, you know. Everyone was just hi, and they offered me candy and tea, which if you're in Afghanistan, you will be offered tea maybe 100 times a day, and you say yes. It's just nice to say yes. And they poured me tea and they gave me candy that I love so much. I bought a big bag and I sent it to my family. It was so delicious. And they didn't know any English, but they kept saying in my guide, tell her she's so safe here. She has nothing to worry about. We're so happy she's here. And everyone wrote their number down, and they said, take my number. If you have any problems, call me on WhatsApp and I will be there in less than 30 seconds. They were like saying to me, you won't encounter any problems, you really won't. They said, you're so safe. If you do, text me and call me and I'll have no hesitation. I'll be right there. Taliban were saying this to me. Taliban. I was just like, this is insane. And I kept all their numbers because I keep, like, I'm not into souvenirs, but like those kind of souvenirs I keep, like little things like that. So I have the post-it notes with like their names and their numbers, because like it's just something I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. And they were like, you have any problems, you have any issues, we'll be there in 30 seconds. And they're like, you're so safe, you're so welcome here, and we're so happy that you are in Afghanistan. You can take pictures, you can take your videos of whatever you want, which was also so nice and refreshing, because I was expecting to get pushback on that. I was prepared. Even in Egypt, they don't let you take photos and videos. They check your cameras, they check your phone. What are you saying about Egypt? What do you know, if you have a big camera, they're like, you can't use that. In Dubai, same thing. If you have a big camera, they're like, you can't use your big camera, you can only use your iPhone. They're like, they check your footage. Even in Morocco, if one person in Morocco is in your photo and they feel like they're in your photo, they're like, where's my money? I was in your photo. Where's my money? I was in the back. You just took a picture of me. Where's my money? Or they do this. Don't take a picture of me. Oh, you took a picture of me? Where's my money? This is all throughout Morocco. It's so many places. And Afghanistan people, they were literally, it was so heartwarming. They would just say, you can take a picture of me. Because, you know, they see I have a giant camera, you know. And they're just like, she probably is here to take pictures, you know. And videos. And so people were volunteering themselves. And they were just like, have a beautiful day. My mind was blown. I'm like waiting. I'm like, I have money prepared to give to these people. And it wasn't even about me not wanting to give them money. Of course, I would love to bless these people and give them money, which I did. The crazy thing for me is they didn't want it. And I'm like, these people are so poor. So poor. They could easily be like, give me money. I was in your picture. Give me money. You took a photo of me. Where's my money? You took a, picture of me. Where's my money? They wouldn't let me pay for anything. if you guys watch my videos, you saw that they wouldn't let me pay for anything, and I'm like insisting, like, no, please take the money, and they're just like, no, I'm not taking your money. I was trying to pay. Like, I've never experienced these kind of people in my life. I always struggle with the meaning of what culture means, what your own people, what does it all mean? I don't know. It's a deep thought. It's ongoing. It's inconclusive. But I'm like, what does it all mean? Because why is it that I'm in Afghanistan and I'm being treated the nicest? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't get it. So anyways, the most welcoming, the most kind, the most hospitable people I've ever met in my life. And it blew my mind. I'm like, why do these people have such a bad rep? And that's another thing. Every Taliban that I met, we arrived at this one Buddhist temple that got demolished in Mazar-i-Sharif, Afghanistan. And every time you go somewhere, you have to ask Taliban permission. So we asked Taliban permission for me to visit there. And the Taliban said, wait at the entrance. I want to come meet her. So this is the commander, the head Taliban. There's always a head Taliban in a city. And then there's the commanders underneath of him. Every time I went to a city, the commander, the top Taliban wanted to meet me. So they're like, can you wait 25 minutes? I'm going to come meet her. I really want to come meet her. So they stopped and they were like, my guide always asked me, do you mind waiting 25-30 minutes? The commander wants to come meet you. I said, no, I don't mind. The commander came, and this one specific commander in Mazar-i-Sharif didn't look at me. He kept his head down because he said, he said to my guide like this. He was like this. He was like, tell her that I'm not looking at her as a sign of disrespect. I'm not looking at her because I believe that looking upon another woman could be disrespectful, especially because her husband is not with her and her boyfriend's not with her. So it's a sign of respect. It's not disrespect. So I was just like, I don't care. No worries. And he had his head down. He was like, can you ask her what does she think about Afghanistan with the Taliban rule? Every commander asked me this. And I remember when my guide was translating, he like slowly looked up. And when I tell you, like, body language is everything. Body and energy, like, it's everything. The body language of the Taliban, every time they asked me this, was like that of a child. Like, it was always very childish, not childish in the negative sense. Childish as in like looking to me for approval, or like really wanting to know, like genuinely caring about how I feel about the country and how I think about Taliban rule. And I always said that, you know, I'm not a politician. I don't know so much because, you know, I'm just one girl who kind of pays attention to her own life. But I said that all I know is that when I'm here in Afghanistan, there's such a peace that I haven't experienced anywhere. And that people are so loving and kind. And I know I'm genuinely, there's some countries that I know I'm in danger, right? It's like, okay, I need to act like this. I need to do this. I need to hold my phone and my purse here. I need to lock the door at night. I need to make sure no one's following me. Like, there's a lot of places like that. I knew I was safe in Afghanistan. And I was like, that's so rare. And he was like, no, you really are. Like, no one is going to rob you. No one is going to stalk you. No one's gonna come and try and touch you or be physical or say anything inappropriate. And I was like, no, I know that. Like, that's so freaking nuts. Like, I even got knocked over. A man actually, when I was walking around in London, pushed me over and took my phone straight out of my hand. And like, it's just so crazy because like places that people revere, like these big names in the world, you're not safe. Like, it's anything could happen to you. And it's like, it's so crazy that I'm in Afghanistan and I am literally 100% safe. And he's like, no, you are. And he said, guess what, it won't happen. But say someone tried to do anything to you, steal anything or touch you or say anything inappropriate, that man would not be alive anymore. In Afghanistan, if you steal, your hand might be cut off, right? So what's worse? The fact that that's the rule and no stealing happens, right? Nothing, because people don't want their hands cut off, right? Or a place like America where stealing is like, what, it probably happens every 4 milliseconds. And I just saw a video, I was just watching a video, it popped up on my Instagram of these 2 guys robbing Louis Vuitton in Miami. Like, they just walked in with their faces open and they just started taking bags and walked out. And it's just like, a lot of these people get away with it, and a lot, like, crime happens every second in America. And a lot of it, justice isn't served, you know? Because, like, are you really gonna go to court and all this because you stole? No. Like, in America, like, it's really not gonna happen. But if you steal anything in Afghanistan, you're probably gonna get your hand cut off. So it doesn't happen. You know, if you touch a woman, or, oh my gosh, if you touch a woman inappropriately or rape a woman, or, oh my goodness, you're not gonna be alive. So it doesn't happen. You get what I'm saying? And it's just like, but I felt when I was there, it wasn't just because, oh, I might die. No. I felt so much respect by everyone there and so much love, like a family type of love. I just can't. I'm still processing Afghanistan. I really am. I'm still processing this country because I don't get it. And they were like, every single time the Taliban would ask me, you know, why does America hate us so much? And I said, honestly, I think it's because you're so opposite. Here you say women should not work and they should be wives and take care of the family and not show themselves, you know, physically. And in America, it's quite the opposite. It's like, get naked, show your body. I myself at one point felt like I was going to leave Instagram because all I saw were butt cheeks. Like, I was so tired of seeing butts. Like, I was just like, I can't anymore. It's just butt cheeks, butt cheeks, butt cheeks. And I was like, in America, it's the opposite. You're like praised for that. You're praised. Yes. Liberate yourself. You know, more power to you, showing your body. You go, girl. You love your, it's like, it's considered self-love to be naked and to be more explicit. And I was like, you should see some of the stuff that's on our television, you know, like songs that the Cardi B's put out and the Megan Thee Stallions put out. And I was just like, you shouldn't see it, I was saying to the Taliban, but you should, because your mind would be blown. And they're just like, yeah, we just have different values. And I was just like, yeah, I get why there's such a conflict between Afghanistan and America, because they're just, America is the stark opposite, like so opposite, you know. And even in Afghanistan, they don't even have models advertising thing, you know, like if you drive by a supermarket or something, you'll see an ad for Colgate with somebody brushing their teeth, or like any kind of ad. There's always people advertising something, or orange juice advertisement, somebody drinking juice. All these advertisements in Afghanistan, the faces are painted over because Afghan people think that vanity is bad. You know, like being vain is a sin. So like there's not even regular advertisement going on, like with like kids trying to advertise toothpaste commercials or nothing, because they're like, it's vanity. You want to be famous, you're full of yourself. Vanity is bad. You should not want to be popular. You should not want to be a celebrity. It's a bad thing. It's sinful. It's vain, you know. And so I was like, yeah, I understand now why America hates Afghanistan so much, because you're the complete opposite. But I said, if you want to know my opinion, I freaking love it here. You know, every country, I think every single country has good and bad. Every single country has good and bad. There are bad things about America. There are great things about America. And same with Afghanistan. There are bad things about Afghanistan, and there are really amazing things about Afghanistan. Like a lot of amazing things. And I may or may not be going back soon. Stay tuned. I don't know, I may be going back in a couple weeks, I may not be. So anyways, this was like one of my last days in Afghanistan, and I'm souvenir shopping on this like souvenir streets. We're just walking around looking for souvenirs for me, and I'm here near the street, right? And I had just walked out of a store, a souvenir shop, and my guide is here. I'm here facing him. So here's the road, here's me, here's my guide. So I'm walking really close to the street, but I'm not facing it. And we're walking, talking. I think he was saying something like, so what else are you like looking for souvenir wise? Like what do you have anything in mind? Anyways, all I know is I hear like all this loud beeping. As I'm walking closer and closer to the street, and I hear, you know, when a car is trying to like stop itself from turning, and a car is like, it's not a car, it's a truck, and it's doing, and the car is tipping over at the same time, right? And like it all happens so fast that like when I think back on it, I'm like, Maryjane, why didn't you jump out of the way? But I couldn't have. Like it was all so fast. As I'm turning to look, I was already being hit by the car. The car was tipping over. It had maybe 60 carpets piled on top of it. A lot of cars in Afghanistan will pile a lot of stuff. They're transporting things. The carpets were flying off of, it's like the most bizarre, like, I even laughed even when I was in pain, because I'm like, how bizarre is this situation? The car's tipping over and the carpets are falling off of the truck. It had put too many carpets. It was trying to turn a corner. The physics weren't working. The car tipped over, and yeah. Next thing I knew, I was on the ground with maybe 50 people standing over top of me, and all the girls were trying to help me, but the guys were looking, because in Afghanistan guys aren't supposed to touch women physically, so they were just standing there like worried. And my guide touched me, because it's a bit different. He's my guide, and he's like doing this, like trying to get me. He's like, Mary, and he called me Mary, which it's okay, but yeah, I don't like when people call me Mary. My name is Maryjane, and I'm like, who's Mary? But anyways, he's like, Mary, and he's like trying to lift my shoulder, but what hurt the most was this shoulder and my leg and my knee. My knee still hurts actually right now, but it's probably getting better. So I automatically thought my leg was hurt, and I thought I was broken. I thought my arm was broken, so I'm just like, please get off of me, no. And I'm like trying to take their hands off, because I thought it was broken, and I thought they were gonna like dislocate it. So anyways, I remember the guy driving the carpet. I remember seeing his eyes, and he had this look of devastation that I've never seen. Like I could see it in his eyes, how devastated he was looking at me. And another Afghan man ran up to him and said, man, leave, run, go. And he's looking like he really didn't want to leave and run, but he did. And I'm glad he did, because the Taliban did show up, but if they had showed up and he would have been there, they might have killed him for hurting me. So it was unintentional. So, you know, me being a foreigner and something really bad could happen to me. I could have died, or my skull could have got cracked open. I had a concussion because my head hit the ground first. And there was blood, and you know, for that, he could have been killed, or something bad could have happened to him. Maybe not death, but something really bad by the Taliban. So I'm actually glad he ran away too. And my tour guide said, like, I'm upset the guy ran away, but I'm like, I'm not. I'm happy that he ran away because, like I said, and I could see in his face he didn't want to run away. He felt so bad. He felt terrible. He did not do that on purpose. But also, I don't think he deserved to die. So the Taliban came, but by that time, I was already getting into a car to go to the hospital, and it was an interesting experience going to the hospital. I was one of like 3 people in there. The beds were dirty, but like I said, it's a very poor country. So, and my tour guide had to stay outside of the shades because I had to take my hijab off and he wouldn't have been allowed to look at me. So he stayed outside and translated for me, and they were saying, ask her, can she move her arm? So he's standing outside the curtain. He's like, can you move your arm? And I'm like, no. And they're like, ask her, can she move her leg? It's like, he was yelling, can you move your leg? And I was like, no. And I was crying because I was in so much pain. And yeah, after calming down a little bit and I moved, I realized that I wasn't hurt physically, and I started to calm down. I said, listen, I'm okay, I just need to rest. And everyone was so kind to me, so helpful, and it wasn't a scary experience actually. Once I knew I was okay, I just didn't want my leg to be broken, and it wasn't. I didn't want anything to be broken. After that, I was okay. I was perfectly fine. And I was seeing, like, you know when you stare into a lamp for a long time, or you stare at the sun and then you have like these dots in your eyes? I had that for like 10 hours and that freaked me out. But I knew that that was a side effect of a concussion. That I didn't like at all, because I didn't stare at the sun and I didn't stare at any lights, but there was still, like, every time I looked at something I couldn't really see it, because like it was, like I said, it was like you had stared at the sun, and that freaked me out. Because I was like, I hope this goes away. Imagine I can't see anything. Like, I was staring at my phone, but I couldn't really see it, you know? And they said, oh, there's a side effects of concussion. It will go away. Just go to sleep. You just got, you know, your head knocked really hard. So anyways, like I said, Afghanistan was a mind-blowing experience for me, and nothing was scary about it. At all. Nothing. They're the sweetest, kindest people. I was probably the safest I was in any country in the world. Beyond safe. People are so kind. People are so hospitable. It's literally beautiful, like the nature. It's just a beautiful, 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 beautiful country. And I can't imagine me not have going there. Me have not going there. Like, it changed my life, and I love Afghanistan, and it's just the most beautiful place probably I've ever been to. And I just want to put that out there. And I know the Taliban took over, but they all told me that it was what was best for the country. And when I asked the locals, what do you think, they all said that they love Afghanistan post-Taliban. Everyone said that to me. I mean, post-Taliban takeover, they all love it with the Taliban in control. And they said they didn't love it when America was there. And everything is peaceful, beyond peaceful, and I just love that place. And it feels like family, you know? And I'm so grateful for that. You know, I have people in Afghanistan that I still talk to on a regular basis and can always go see, and I love that place. So yeah, I'm so happy you guys enjoyed the video. My Afghanistan videos, I've been getting such good feedback on those, and yeah, I could make 50 more videos about Afghanistan, and maybe I will.